Hello, welcome to Spirit Cocktails. I'm your host, Pierre, and also welcome to a brand new segment we have called Brews Day Reviews. Today is Tuesday, so it's Brews Day. Because we're reviewing different craft beers. It's something that a lot of people tell me I should be doing for a while, because I've been learning so much more about how beer is made and the different nuances that go into it, the flavor notes, what IBUs, your SRMs, your basically your anything else that has to do with that, like your malt characteristics, your starting gravity, final gravity, your ABVs, the Imperials, the stouts, the ales, the brown ales, the IPAs. I can go on forever trying to think of these different ideas that I learned from making my own beer. But one thing about making my own beer, by learning all that, is you have a better palate to learn what to expect when you're making a beer. I made many beers in the past. A couple of them I bought from kits. A couple of my ones I made myself, which was kind of a play on an idea. And the good thing about also making beer is you learn. Because sometimes you may make a beer, it'd be good. Most of the beers you make will be good. But some of the ones you're like, it's just missing something. Like I made one was supposed to be a mocha latte stout. The only thing with the mocha latte stout, it didn't have that thick stout characteristic. It was basically a chocolate, coffee, brown ale. That's basically all it was. Maybe closer to a porter. But is the one thing I should have put in there is either maybe some oatmeal or some lactose syrup or something to help bring that thickness. Because one thing about lactose powder or different things is it has non-fermentable sugars, and it's a lot more sugar goes in there, so that helps gives it the body, the thickness that you're used to with a stout. And also one of the things is you have your Imperial stouts. One thing about Imperial stout is it's a lot more potent as far as the alcohol content, and also has a higher IBU, usually between maybe 75, 50, between 75 and 100% or 100 IBUs. Your average IPA is maybe about 50 IBUs. A standard, like a Kolsch or something like that, you're looking maybe 28. A basic beer, about maybe 20, if even that, for IBUs, which is not made to be bitter, but still has the preservation aspects and the slight bitter flavor you get with most beers. But the one thing about this one, this is from Dogfish Head. They make tons of different beers, a lot of different craft ideas. They put infusions that you wouldn't really even think of putting into a beer. I can't think of a couple offhand. I just saw them on the shelf. But one thing about this one, this is a 90-minute boil. If any of you ever brew beer, you'll know what the boil is. Because you have your steeping, if you're doing just your grains with extract, or you have your starting mash. But the one thing about the boil, that's what brings all your colors, your different aromas, that helps take all the flavors out of whatever ingredients you put inside there. Also, it adds a higher bittering unit from the alpha hops. So higher the alpha, the more bitter you'll have. The 90-minute boil, it's going to take something, like say, for instance, warrior hops. You put a warrior hop in there at the beginning of a boil for 60 minutes, you'll probably get maybe 50 IBUs. If you put that on a 90-minute, it's going to increase it, so you probably get closer to 75 IBUs. So that helps if you want to make them imperial type stouts, if you want to make something that's a lot more hoppy characteristics, but also a really strong, potent IPA. I never had this before. It is 90-minute. I am curious because it says it's an Imperial Indian Pale Ale, which is basically what IPA stands for, featuring a single constant 90-minute hop addition. It's balanced by a ridiculous amount of English two-row barley that we dry hop in every tank. So it's definitely, it says right there, nothing but hop additions from beginning to end. So it's a lot of hop characteristics. Guarantee this is going to have a high bittering unit. I don't believe it actually says on there. It's also 9% alcohol, because most of your imperial ales, your stouts or whatever, it's closer to 10%, between 8 and 10%. It doesn't really say on there what the IBUs is. Only a couple bottles I ever bought actually told you what the IBUs, because a lot of people don't know what the heck IBU is. I guarantee half the people out there don't even know what IBU is. But IBU stands for International Bittering Unit. The higher the unit, obviously the more bitter the beer. The lower, Honestly, the lower the better. So one thing also about your hop additions, beginning hop additions, more bitter. Late hop additions, more flavor. So that's also how you're going to get that balance of characteristics out there. But let's try this one out. I'm curious. I've seen this actually on, because there's an episode for Brew Dogs where they actually had the guys from Dogfish Head in there where they made a beer on the NASCAR circuit. That was cool. So if you ever get a chance to watch the Brew Dog show, I think it was from the second season, I believe. They may still be on demand. I don't know. You got to check your thing and see if it is on there. If anything, you probably find it online. But let's try this out because I'm really curious on this one. You definitely smell the hops with that. It's getting a decent head. It's not a strong head because that's one thing about this compared to like your stouts. Stouts have a really strong malt characteristics. It has a lot of sugars, unfermentables in there, which is going to cause more of that foaming. If you ever made beer, after you make your wort, you go and you pour it in, say, your fermenter, you get foam going everywhere. I did a couple where the foam was like that thick, and I couldn't get it down until you pitch the yeast, and it kind of falls down a little bit. But it's not a real strong head. It's basically a pale ale type of head. It's actually sweet smelling. Actually, it's a good smelling hop. It does have that characteristics of a citrus, like grapefruit. A little bit of piney sense. The one thing that most hops out there do impart on the beer is that piney, citrusy type of like grapefruit balances flavors. It's a bitter type of ingredient. See how it tastes. For being an Imperial IPA, it's surprisingly mild. You could definitely taste that bitters. I would put this at least maybe, because I made a 50 IBU beer that was definitely had a good strong bitter characteristics, but it was also a black IPA, so it had that charred note to it too. This is probably on around 70 IBUs, between 75 80 IBUs, so it definitely has some bitter to it, but you could definitely get the strong citrus characteristics. A lot of fruity notes. Kind of get a little bit of nutmeg in that. It's kind of weird how it tastes, but it's definitely like orangey. Not a real strong bitter grapefruit flavor, but it's more of a mild citrus. Being the fact that this is 90-minute boil, that means that's a lot of hops are coming out with that. But the fact that they're adding so many hops throughout the whole 90 minutes, that's imparting a lot more flavor, so you're getting more of that characteristics from that. The yeast, I'm not sure what they use for the yeast, but also yeast does tell you what type of flavor you're going to get from that. If it's an English yeast, a American yeast, if it's a champagne yeast, or whatever type of yeast you use, that's one thing that's also going to impart a lot of that flavor with that. It does have a really good carbonation to it. It's actually really good. It's actually, in my opinion, one of the best IPAs I ever had out there. And the fact that it's a Imperial IPA, 9% alcohol. A couple of these, you'll be down. It's not a session beer where you basically can take a couple. Like with session beers are probably around 4.5%, maybe 5 at most. This is 9%. This is maybe 1, 2. If you're strong, if you're able to have enough tolerance, maybe 3. But after that, that's it. But the other ones you can have like 4 or 5. You can have a whole 6-pack in the sitting if you really want to. I had a 12-pack once. A little drunk afterwards, but it's definitely something you can do. But this is a really good beer. I said it's a good citrus characteristics. It's a lot more of an orange peel, kind of nutty aroma to it. It's not really bitter. It's very smooth balance to it. for being an Imperial IPA, I really like this. So if you get a chance, if Dogfish Head, because they're outside of Delaware, I believe it is, if I can find it, Milton, Delaware. And also you can go right to their webpage. You can find more information that way. But if you can get a hold of it, they're pretty much everywhere. They're one of the most popular ones out there. So if you can get a hold of this one, the 90-minute boil, I definitely suggest it. This bottle I bought for about $2 at ShopRite Liquor. Some stores you can buy single bottles. Some stores you can buy like a larger. So it depends on how you want to do it. But definitely try it out. Let me know what you guys think about the Brews Day reviews. Something new I'm trying out. I have about 2 more reviews coming in the next couple weeks. After that, we'll see how everything goes. I do want to do one of my own beers. And it's just based on I do craft beers, different flavors. When the season comes, like for Oktoberfest, I'm definitely doing some more Oktoberfest reviews. And definitely be doing more of my own beer reviews. Because I have a lot of different ideas I want to do. I want to make one that's going to be a hop hazard IPA where I'm going to just put so many hops in it. But have a nice balance of characteristics with fruity, piney, and a little bit of citrus flavor to it. But had that strong hoppy flavor to it. The only thing I'm trying to figure out if I want to make a dark IPA or a light IPA. I probably might do light because I already did one called Midnight Run IPA, so I kind of want to stay away from the black IPA, so just basically want to try it that way. So question today, if you were to make an IPA, how would you do it? What type of hops would you put in there? If you want to make a hop hazard or just a ton of different hop flavor, which hops do you use that will be the best like combination of flavors? And would you use them in the beginning of the boil or end of the boil to impart the bitterness or the aroma? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your comments below. Definitely try this out. Be sure to give it a thumbs up. Like us on Facebook, Concept Spirit Cocktails. Subscribe to our channel. Submit your cocktails. See the link below. If you have any ideas for different craft beers out there, let me know those too. But as always, drink responsibly.